India's Kharif season is unfolding under a cloud of anxiety, with 315 districts across 12 states flagged at high agriculture risk and the monsoon running 43% below normal as of June 23. The government has warned that rainfall could be deficient at least through the first week of July. At the heart of this crisis is a question that millions of farmers are asking is right now, will the right seed reach to the right field in time? Joining me today is Mr. Ajai Rana, Chairman of Federation of Seed Industry of India. He is also Managing Director and CEO of Savannah Seeds. He is one of the most authoritative voices on seed policy and agri-innovation in India. He is here to share about how the industry is positioned for this weather crisis, what it urgently needs from policymakers, and why the long-stalled regulatory approvals from seed bill to GM crops already costing Indian farmers. Thank you for joining with PTI.
Thank you for having me on PTI.
Mr. Rana, with 315 districts flagged at high risk and monsoon running 43% below normal as of June 23, how urgent is this situation for Kharif planning and specifically for the seed industry?
So El Nino is not a good news for our agriculture, especially our Kharif season, which is a large season. And we still have like nearly 50% of our agriculture is rain-fed. It will impact, some geographies where still irrigation is not reached. We have made progress on irrigation, like for example, Telangana is one area where I was surprised that the rice acreage has doubled, 2.7 million hectare in Kharif, 2.7 million hectare in Rabi, so 5.4 million hectare. And this has happened in last 5 to 10 years with the expansion in the irrigation, the canal built there. We have seen progress on irrigation coverage in other parts of the country, Gujarat, MP, but still large part of the country is rain-fed. In terms of the readiness, that thanks to the weather forecast, meteorological department and private forecasters, we are not surprised. We knew about it since I think the first forecast came in February. So at the government of India level, seed industry level, there have been in fact strategies we are working in such year. What happens that farmer tend to go for, for example in rice, switch from a long duration variety to a shorter duration varieties. So we have stocked seed and produced seed and supplied seed considering these scenarios. But we are still working on, that I was reviewing with our team, and we had a call with the seed industry also a few days ago. What is the impact we are seeing? Especially the impact so far we are seeing is the planting is delayed, farmer are waiting in MP, Chhattisgarh, parts of Jharkhand, Bihar. North is, thankfully Punjab, Haryana, West UP is almost 90% plus irrigated. We don't see any impact here.
The government says certified seed availability stands at 192.43 lakh quintals against a requirement of 172.98 lakh quintals and 11.2% surplus on paper. Is that cushion actually adequate under drought-like conditions on the ground?
So if farmer have to replant, in the geographies where farmer, they go for dry sowing and then wait for monsoon. If the monsoon doesn't come or monsoon is weak, there is situation comes like farmers have to replant. In that scenario, I think if the government of India has the surplus, seed industry, we also have surplus. So I think I don't see a challenge of the availability of the seed, total stocks, but like whether this seed reaches to the geographies where the requirement is there, that's the distribution is perhaps we need to look at.
And how much surplus the private sector has?
So we planned for 20% surplus. So we planned for 20% surplus. In fact, thankfully we had a bumper year for corn seed production as well as rice seed production. Even for millets too. The last Rabi season where the seed industry, for hybrids, that's our major season for seed production. And the weather favored, in fact, seed industry was also bullish on certain crops. So we have seen many of our member players, they have 20 to 30% surplus seed production.
So that's a fantastic news. Short duration varieties and climate resilient hybrids are precisely what farmers would require in stressed districts. But these tend to be produced in smaller quantities during normal planting cycles and are often in short supply during a crisis. Are private seed companies receiving real-time signals from the state governments about where demand is spiking so that inventory can be redirected before the planting window closes?
So we have, regular interactions with the government of India at the ICR as well as the ministry level, where we exchange, the situation, and also the government also monitor how the seed companies or the private seed sector. Let me remind you, the private seed sector still, we are responsible for nearly 70% of the seed supplied. So we are tuned. In fact, we have a network, our member companies. We supply our seed through more than 10 lakh retailers across the country. So we are in fact, the distribution has reached very close to a village. In fact, in many places, we have our dealers at the village level also. Coming to your point, early maturity or short duration, there is a trend, in fact, that farmer, in fact, in the areas especially where they have 2 crops, and in some places they are going for 3 crops also. So the requirement for longer duration is, in fact, that segment is reducing, except in some areas in east, especially in Odisha, West Bengal, part of Bengal, Bihar and eastern UP, where farmer, rice is our major crop in Kharif season, where farmer grows a long duration variety 140 days plus MTU 7029. But these are the geographies which are low lying areas, and farmer prefer to plant a long duration because the water doesn't dry up and the crop matures. So except those areas, we are seeing in all other crops, including rice, there is in fact shift towards early medium maturity varieties and hybrids.
So does the private sector has enough stock of these seeds?
Yes. We have enough stock of these seeds. So if we talk corn, maize is a major Kharif crop, millets, and rice. Rice is the biggest one. So in rice, we have, of course, some states especially in the in south, Telangana announced bonus on fine grain, and these fine grain varieties mostly they are long duration. So that's in fact a contradictory. In a year like this, when you have deficient rainfall, and you are giving incentive for planting a long duration fine varieties. We reached out to the state government that this is a difficult year. Even seed industry, we were surprised when the government announced this move. In fact, there's push from the state government not to plant coarse, permal or the long slender grain. MTU 1010 is a medium duration, early medium duration, which suits well for such a year. So I hope the state government also take corrective action, and this is creating, in fact, these bonuses announced by the state governments are pushing cultivation of more rice. In fact, last year India crossed 50 million hectares. We always used to hear a figure 42 to 44 million hectares, but a country where agriculture is still largely dependent on monsoon. Increase in rice cultivation area is not a good news.
Which parts of India and which crops need the most urgent attention at this moment?
Our number one crop in Kharif season is rice. So we have to see that wherever there's a monsoon, the June or July deficit is there, farmer will have a limited window now. So they cannot grow for long duration. They have to plant shorter duration. And these geographies are MP, these geographies are Chhattisgarh, these geographies are in Bihar, eastern UP. Bengal, they go for rice after rice, and Odisha rice after rice. So that second crop planting can be delayed. They usually plant late, but these part of the country and Telangana, they need urgent attention. This is for rice, but for corn, The big area for corn is in Kharif, is in Madhya Pradesh, is a big corn growing area. Maharashtra has emerged as a big corn growing area, and Karnataka. So these three states for corn. Cotton planting is mostly over, and then cotton, in fact, is a typically a rain-fed crop. I think this situation is not going to impact much of cotton now, but like these crops, and we need to be ready with more seed of millets, sorghum and pearl millet. These crops are, they do well even in deficient rainfall conditions. So in some areas, farmer may switch to millets.
So how is the stock position of sorghum and pearl millet?
Thanks to the whole millet mission, and we have seen a good shift in, hybrids in these two crops. And private seed industry, in fact, like many of our large and medium-sized companies, they have stocked well. We had, as I said like earlier, we had a bumper seed production year. So from availability point of view, not a big challenge, but like the grassroots level coordination, like, hey, if there is a district in Rajasthan, say, Banswara area or some those geographies, they need seed, and we are sitting with the seed inventory in Mathura and Agra. I think that coordination is required. So the monitoring at the grassroots level and regular communication between Ministry of Agriculture and the private seed industry.
What specific support can Federation mobilize for farmers in 111 high priority districts where irrigation is below 25%?
So we have, done a fairly extensive mapping of all the agriculture districts in the country, and we have now using the tools like remote sensing. We have mapped all major crops for duration as well as the type of seed farmer plant, and accordingly, we distribute our seed. So we are, I think, FSI member companies, I'll say like, hey, we are ready for a situation like this, but still one thing happens, like we always see some crop shifts happening, or farmer, they're now not preferring, I said like, they'll say I'm ready with the MTU 7029 stock, which is long duration, and there is a demand for hybrids with early or medium maturity. That we have to take care. And then I think the seed industry, every company now, they use digital tools. We do surveys at the farmer level also. Like I was reviewing, we done a telephonic survey of 1,000 farmers in these states where the monsoon is affecting, just to learn whether farmer has purchased seed or they're waiting. So in fact, like we heard from nearly 25% farmers that they're waiting for the monsoon to take the final decision on seed purchase. But like 75% farmers have bought seed.
Okay. So any advisories that the Federation is issuing?
Yeah, so we also issue, we are using, we have feet on the ground. In fact, like we have our extension workers, or every seed company has, almost in every district we have a sales rep, and then we have the workers, those who work at the grassroots level in the villages. So they organize meetings with the farmer, and then we promote in this year, like you go for hybrids or early maturity varieties. Hybrids tend to be, more stress tolerant, even for deficient rainfall conditions. In fact, like there is a myth that hybrid needs more water and more fertilizer. The truth is other way around. Hybrids, because we breed for hybrid vigor, hybrid needs, in fact, like less water, less fertilizer. For example, like in Punjab and Haryana, of course, these are irrigated markets. In varieties, farmer use 3 to 4 bags of urea. We recommend only 2 bags. So, and the duration maturity is also 15 days shorter. So if you have shorter maturity, your water requirement is also less.
If the weak monsoon persists into July and August, how should farmers in vulnerable districts be managing their yields?
Seed is a primary, input which has impact on the productivity. So farmers have to be careful, like in such conditions, they have only, if they plant in July, uh, the crop period is shorter. So they have to go for short duration, high yielding hybrids or the varieties which are suitable for such, crop period. So that's one. Also, I think need to take care of when they grow for when they plant a shorter duration crop, they also need to change their agronomic practices. So the application of fertilizer has to be early. They cannot be applying fertilizer at the same time like in a longer duration. And in a crop like rice, they need to be, in fact, like if they're going for transplanting, transplant within, when the nursery age is 25 to 30 days. Because the delay in the transplanting, there is a yield penalty.
Weak monsoons have historically accelerated the circulation of spurious and substandard seeds. What is Federation actually doing to protect seed quality during this crisis?
So we actively participated, Government of India, the Ministry of Agriculture, they've brought in an initiative called Sathi, which is about the traceability of the seed. So all our member companies now, they have implemented Sathi. There is a QR code on every seed bag. Farmer can scan this QR code and they can see like, hey, the seed is coming from the reliable source or not. So this is one, in fact, like it involved investing in the infrastructure, hardware as well as the software, but all our member companies have done that. We also communicate with the farmer regularly on WhatsApp. Of course, we have feet on the ground, which we call physical, but like there's a lot of physical interaction, creating awareness about like, hey, the farmer buy the, certified seed or the seed coming from the reliable sources.
Nearly 75% of the seeds sold in India comes from the private sector, including several multinationals. Is the private sector genuinely geared up to handle a demand surge in this Kharif season?
Yes. We have a typically every year, we have a seed sales return ratio. In fact, like, hey, my demand is 100, we supply 110. So we budget for 15-20% returns. And this year, since we had a good year on seed production, so I think from the supply point of view, we are geared up.
The 200% weighted tax deduction for seed R&D has been withdrawn. Do you expect policy steps to restore fiscal incentives for private sector research, and what is the cost if it is not done?
The investment on R&D is correlated with your GDP. The developed countries, like for example, I think Korea has the highest, like around 4% of their GDP. Is the investment on R&D. In India, we are below 0.5%. The R&D investment of the ratio of our GDP. Agriculture is very critical. Our productivities are still among the lowest in the world. We have the highest cropped area. We cultivate nearly 230 million hectare gross cropped area. Our cropped area is bigger than US, bigger than China. But our productivity per acre, we are very proud that we beat China on rice production, 150 million tons. I think we should be, soon celebrating the point that the China produces 7 tons per hectare, we produce 4. So if we move the needle from 4 to 6, we don't have to grow rice in 50 million hectare. We can reduce rice cultivation in 15 million hectare. So for that, R&D investment, especially in seed sector, is very important. I think we have been urging Government of India and presenting these figures that, hey, 1 rupee invested on seed R&D gives you 12 rupees return. And this is not coming from us, private seed industry. This study was done by ICR, their economics wing, they did that study. So it is very important, like, in fact, like, the right thing to do, that restoring the tax deduction or the tax incentive for seed sector.
Beyond tax incentives, what are the other regulatory hurdles that are constraining seed innovation and commercialization in India today?
Yeah, so we have done a study on ease of doing business. We are very proud of what we are doing in India now, infrastructure, railways and our highways and airports, IT sector, telecom. I think we have reforms, economic reforms across industry except agriculture. And it's in fact like hard truth, like agriculture is still, we have Inspector Raj, right from obtaining licenses in each state, and then the controls and powers with the local authorities. So we create more hurdles for the growth of seed business and very less incentive for someone to come in. I think there's one good thing happened 25 or 30 years ago. We allowed 100% FDI in seed sector. Because of that, companies like us or Cotivas and BSF, many other examples, like they came to India, they invested in R&D, they in fact invested in creating infrastructure, created local jobs, impacting the local economy as well as the productivity. That policy decision helped. I'm just giving an example of a policy decision which has a positive impact. But like hurdles like this, it takes 7 years to develop a hybrid or variety. Then every state is asking us 3 years local testing. So we are delaying innovation. We are delaying, availability of the new seed, new technology to the farmers. And there are n number, like our share in the global seed trade is, less than 5%. The previous Ag Secretary, he said like, Ajay, we need to work on this. We need to take our share to 10%. I think we are right now at around 1.5–2% of the global seed trade. A country which is the largest agriculture, a country we have all the agroclimatic zones, we can produce all kind of seeds. We can produce seed for Southeast Asian countries. We can produce seed, even temperate crops for Europe. Or still, we have an advantage of cost of goods. We have trained manpower. We can create so much of economic value. But the policy are so, in fact, we create, one policy, in fact, like they abolish EXIM. We used to go to EXIM policy for seed exports. But now the DGFT, now it is with DGFT, and DGFT has created more regulations. We are waiting for seed export approvals for 4 months. Imagine like a farmer in Vietnam or Philippines will not wait. They will buy some other seed and plant. And we will lose that customer. We'll lose that business. So the policy on the agriculture, especially seeds, we are way behind. We have been submitting our recommendations every year.
Nothing has happened.
Yeah, nothing much has happened. Only good thing is like at least they hear us.
What regulatory clarity is needed on intellectual property and data protection to encourage long-term private investment in the crop varieties?
So we have to have, we are making progress in some areas. Let me also quote that, like PVPFRA. Under the new chairman, as we are making progress. So now the seed companies, those who invest huge amount of funds on R&D, on developing new technologies, we are encouraged to go for plant variety registration, PVP, with the authorities. Because what used to happen is like, hey, we are always worried that, hey, we invest so much and then someone copy our seed and infringe our IP. So PVP, we are making progress, but I think our patent laws, the data protection, also we are asking the government of India to recognize the R&D based companies. We have state-wise our own research farms, infrastructure as good as often like in some places even maybe better than the ICR network. So you monitor those trials and stations using all kind of technology. You are most welcome to visit, but like accept our data. Accept our data for these approvals and notifications to save time and returns on what we are doing.
The Seed Bill 2026 was expected to overhaul a legislative framework that dates back to 1966. Why has its passage been delayed, and what are the reforms which FSSI considers non-negotiable?
So we have been asking the where it is delayed, we don't know. The good news is like we were consulted. In fact, like not only us, but like many stakeholders were consulted for that. I think the figure I heard is like there were like 9,000 feedback or recommendation from different stakeholders, and I think the Ministry of Agriculture, the Joint Secretary seats, they all work very hard on this. We need, a lot had changed since 1966. The world has moved. So the new seed bill, one of the asks we had was like we were recommending that one nation, one license, so that, I talked about like all the difficulty of doing business in India. So this thing can, bring a lot of reforms in terms of ease of doing business. Recognizing R&D based companies, accepting our data for approvals. So those were some of the major recommendations from our side.
FSSI has proposed soft loans for seed processing unit and one nation, one license framework for seed approvals. Which of these do you consider the higher priority, and what timelines are realistic for implementation?
I think if the government of India do this, bring the in new seed bill any reforms which help the industry on ease of doing business. So whether it is one nation, one license, or accepting the R&D based seed companies, our data for the approvals in the state. We understand, agriculture is the state subject, but like seed bill is central government, they administer, they in fact like, so there has to be balance, and there has to be consistency in the process. Today, every state has a different process for registration of our seed and seed licenses. What we are also asking is like harmonization in this. The greater, in fact, like there's a proposal like that the seed companies are rated like, the way we have gold star rating or ISI. So the company, those who have those infrastructure, that track record, their own NABL approved seed labs, they need to be given, and I think they need not to wait 10 years for the introduction of the new hybrids or varieties. Also, we ask like, that, we seed performance is impacted by several external factors. What we are responsible is like, hey, we release a seed which has more than 80% germination. We release a seed which has, genetic purity as per the standards, defined by the government of India. Rest, if farmer doesn't have irrigation in his field, there's not enough water, seed will not germinate if there's not enough moisture. So we also seek like, hey, that for the factors which are beyond our control, industry control, we can't be held responsible. So strengthen the seed quality lab network also, so that seed is tested in different labs, and we sympathize with the farmer like, hey, because of weather, because of the disease pressure or external factors, if their yields are impacted, the crop performance is impacted, we have all the sympathy. In seed production, we take care of that. We support our farmers in seed production with minimum compensation guarantee or minimum returns. But like commercial, I think the interventions like crop insurance from government of India, state government, can protect farmers' interest.
On GM crops, Mr. Rana, does the current policy vacuum deter investment in biotech solutions such as GM mustard or herbicide-tolerant soybean, especially given the proven commercial success of B-tree cotton in India?
Yeah, we have a policy paralysis, I'll call it. So the last GM crop we approved in the country was Bolgard 2. I think that happened in 2008. Bolgard, if we look at what the BT has done to India's cotton production, it's a hard fact. Like between 2002, the approval, and 2010, we almost doubled productivity. And we didn't change varieties. The only intervention was technology. 2012 onwards, we have seen again a drop in productivity. What happens like like pharmaceutical industry or any other place, you control one pest, you see another pest coming in. So the seed industry in other part of the world, the cotton farmers in other part of the world, they have now access to Bolgard BG4, BG5. Our farmers still are planting BG2. It has impacted productivity. It has impacted India from a net exporter has become a net importer. So it is impacting farmers' income. It is impacting national GDP. I think they need to take data and science-based decisions, not ideology, because we are a country which approved COVID vaccines in 6 or 8 months. And COVID vaccine is also GM. We are carrying a foreign gene in our body, and we are worried about an industrial crop like cotton. So I urge the government of India that in the interest of our farmer, in the interest of our economy, in the interest of our youth, we need to take science-based, data-based decisions about the approval of these new technologies.
So what message you want to convey to farmers at this point of time when El Nino is leading to deficient rainfall?
So I also want to convey to the farmers the message is like be careful about the selection of the seed. In such conditions, go for select the seed varieties or brands which can tolerate moisture deficiency and also like shorten duration.
Thank you, Mr. Rana, for laying out great clarity both on immediate pressures on the seed sector and the deeper structural reforms that India's agriculture needs.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you and your team. Thank you for having me on PTI.